Mrs. Sandra Harrison, please join me at the podium. Mrs. Harrison was at Kickapoo High School from 1978 to 1999, 21 years. She was a counselor while at KHS. She also taught English and Spanish in Indiana. She was a National Honor Society sponsor. As I mentioned, she taught in Evansville, Indiana, Shawnee Mission, Kansas, and Cherokee Junior High. Her favorite part of counseling was helping students find the right college or university and looking for the right vocation. She also enjoyed helping any student get through a difficult time. The most challenging part of teaching was grading those English compositions until very late at night, almost every night. In my first year of teaching, I had 29 boys and 1 girl in my English classroom. One of the boys threatened me, and as a young teacher, I took him on. Her most memorable moment, one year, Kickapoo High School had 14 National Merit Scholars, and ACT and SAT scores were at an all-time high. Something she would share with today's students: work hard and dream big. Something she would share with our new teachers: at KHS, it is a pleasure working with students, staff, and parents every single day of the year. She said it is such a delight to get postcards, emails, and Facebook posts from many of her students: Sterling Macer, Brad Pitt, Joan and Joseph Liu, Greg Pontius, Sammy Luzader, Shelley Weirs, Glenn Hilton, Barbara Burgess, Jenny Thomas, Sarah Odom, and so many more. Then there are more from colleagues: Donna Freeman, Brenda Goodwin, Ada Copeland, Jim Gold, Lois Marriott, and again, so many more. Kickapoo is a school that comes together and is successful. And today, the Springfield News Leader mentions the high graduation rate. It has been a pleasure to be a part of Kickapoo High School. Mrs. Sandra Harrison.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. This may be one of the most beautiful days of my life. It's an honor to receive this award. And as Dr. Powers said, I started in Indiana and went to Shawnee Mission, Kansas, and even today, the superintendent of Shawnee Mission, Kansas is from Springfield, Mike Fulton. And then I went to Cherokee, here in Springfield. After 2 years, I was so entranced by the Cherokee class of 1982, I had to follow them when they left to go to Kickapoo. And I'm seeing so many of them today, and they've come up to say so very many nice things to me that will always be appreciated. Fortunately, Curtis Wilkerson hired me, and I got to work with Carol Fritz, who's here today, and Doris Garrison, and Bill O'Neill. And I appreciated every single class after that. I appreciated the students, the Kickapoo teachers, the parents. And I was the first counselor at Kickapoo allowed to read the names of the students at graduation. So I practiced all those names so I would get it right. And at the end of that graduation where I had read the names, the students all threw their hats in the air. And I didn't know if that was right or not. And then they threw a big balloon all across, and everybody was touching it. But I thought, they're good, that's all right. I spent time in summers visiting every college and university that I could find. I went to Harvard, to MIT, to Lehigh University, to Lafayette, to the Air Force Academy, wanting to know what was there, what would be good for Kickapoo students, and then coming back to share that information with the students. Even today, I watch Facebook even though Betty White said it was a terrible, total waste of time. And I get to see what's happening at Kickapoo. I get to see what's happening, to those people, the alums, and I see things happening from Hollywood to Singapore. Joan Blue's in Singapore, Bobby Mays in Hollywood, Brad Pitt, and it's nice to hear from them. Kickapoo is proof of the resilience of the human mind, body, and spirit. And I thank Greg Pontius for putting all this together and this 50-year reunion, and Donna Freeman and the committee. It couldn't be better. I'd like to introduce my family. My husband David is here of 62 years. And my daughter, Robin Williams, her husband Tim. And I have two grandsons here that were graduates of Kickapoo. Chris Williams and Tyler Williams, and Tyler's soulmate Josie is here. My son Jeff desperately wanted to be here today for this award and to be here, but he lives too far away in Portland, Oregon. Anyway, thanks, 1,000 thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Coach Kevin Byrne, please join me at the podium. Coach Byrne was at Kickapoo High School from 1979 to 1997, 18 years. He taught physical education, health, and driver's ed. He was varsity football and varsity track coach. He also taught in Houston, Missouri, Willow Springs, Kabul, Rolla, and Cherokee Middle School, where I had the pleasure of meeting and working with Coach. His favorite part of teaching, retirement. No, really. My favorite part of teaching was watching the growth of my students and players from day to day and year to year. The most challenging part of teaching was finding different ways to improve each student's or player's abilities. His favorite moment, beating Jeff City in Jeff City. Something he would like to share with students today. Remember that giving in is the first step to giving up. Something he would share with our new teachers. Things are not as bad as they seem, and never as good as they seem, but are somewhere in between. Thank you so much for this honor. Coach Byrne, congratulations.
A great man said, less is more. I'm not sure who it was, but a great man said it. What an exciting day for all of us. I have some things down here, and I can see that I probably need to be short, but there are things that come to mind. The two things I found out real quick when I came to Kickapoo is that there's two things here. I don't get like this very often. Excellence and family. That's what this is about. That's what it's always been about. Starting with Curtis Wilkerson, all the way down to Bill Powers. I have a hard time. He wasn't Dr. Powers trying to him. He was Bill. Then he come over here and all of a sudden he's Dr. Powers. Yep. Maybe I missed something along the way. That's okay. Excellence, excellence, excellence. I'd like to thank Mr. Pontius. I didn't, you never know until after it's over what an influence you are on somebody. And I think he turned out pretty good. And also Donna Freeman for all their time and effort that they've taken to make this happen. This overcame COVID, which is cool. We're on our way. I want to introduce my family. They're all here. And first of all, I want to introduce my best friend, my Hall of Famer, my wife, Paula. I'd like for Shannon to stand up. She's a graduate here. She went to school here. Stand up, Shannon. Her husband, Sean, is here. And my grandson, Colton, came all the way back from Tullahoma, Oklahoma, at midnight to be here today. And also, the oldest granddaughter, Jessie. I might add this next one is kind of a unique situation. I know we talk about Portland, Oregon being far enough away. And my son-in-law, Jack Dewsbury, played professional soccer in Portland. And we made lots of trips to Portland. And it is a long way. It is a long way. So I want to introduce my daughter, Brittany, and her husband, Jack, and my two granddaughters, who are going to have to stand up even if they don't want to, Aubrey and Taylor. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees. You know, a lot of these people were here when I got here, and Sandra and I came together, at the same year, and we got to know Doug and all those, Bobby and all those cool guys when we were at Cherokee. And it's kind of a unique experience when you get to follow somebody like I did, from 7th grade to 8th grade, all the way to high school. And you really get to know them, and they really get to know you, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's not. That's the way it is. But congratulations to all the inductees. I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I had to work with all the teachers that I came in contact and all the coaches I came in contact here. And in particular, coaching staff. I came here and Coach Pearson, worked with him because Coach Askins moved down to take over just the track and concentrate on that. And I took over his places at the offensive line. And Coach Pittman and I go back before that because I student taught at Republic while he was there at Republic. Charles Sanders, I saw his family here today. Didn't get a chance to talk to them yet, but what a great man. His best attribute, I think, was sensibility. You always count on him for the sensible answer. Also great, Doug Garner. He worked with him here. He was part of our family, our coaching family. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I had to work with all these fine people in my 19 or 18, and I guess I can't count, Bill, you counted better than I did. I thought it was 19, have for the last, 15, 20 years. I thought I was here for 19, but now, if Dr. Powers says it has to be.
Coach, you're right.
Oh, he admitted a mistake. I'll always remember the Kickapoo family. And like I said before, that's what it was. And in particular, its community. For always being a caring and sharing atmosphere. Everybody cared. Whether you were a teacher, whether you were a parent, whether you were a student, whether you were a worker in the cafeteria, everybody cared. Custodial people, everybody cared. And that's what makes Kickapoo great. I'll never forget the good times and always will treasure this honor. Because it is by the students as others have indicated. Again, Greg, Donna, Thanks for your hard work, and thanks again to all the former students that have honored me with this award. Thank you.
Scott and Randy Wilkerson will be representing the father, Curtis Wilkerson. Please join me at the podium. Mr. Wilkerson was a Kickapoo from 1971 to 1980, and he was the first principal of Kickapoo High School. As principal, he was directly or indirectly involved in virtually all activities. He was proud of the Kickapoo athletic program, along with all the various other extracurricular disciplines such as speech and debate, journalism, music, drama, foreign language, and the list goes on. He believed in giving the very best and helping to produce a well-rounded education for all Kickapoo students. He was also at Studi Junior High as a teacher and principal, and Dutch Hill Elementary in Webster County. His favorite part of teaching was during his career as a teacher and principal, he cherished his interactions with students. Early in his career at Studi, he memorized the name of each and every incoming student, which was a surprise or sometimes a fear to some students. From a Future Teachers of America meeting in November of 1974, quote, "A teacher must be a package of patience, love, sympathy, understanding, firmness, mixed in appropriate amounts and applied at the right moment." He lived by that quote and understood his students. Although inspiring kids to be their best was his forte, he enjoyed being an administrator too. After becoming the first principal at KHS, he was so proud of his accomplishment of putting together the best teachers and support staff in the district. He was able to handpick most of these folks, and there was a real feel of the Kickapoo family, as you've heard throughout the afternoon. Many will remember his morning visit to every classroom. He stayed close to the classroom throughout his career. Outside of remaining inspired and enthusiastic, teachers need support from the community, parents, and administration, and support from one another. From notes he delivered at a PTA meeting in 1974, he commented, "First, one must have an intense and burning desire and ambition to be a teacher. Clearly, you must want to be a teacher more than anything else in the world. One of the greatest traits a teacher must possess is a concern for the future of mankind." He was a big believer in continual motivation, inspiration, and recognition of his staff, and believed that was a big challenge in education. With the superintendent and other school system leaders. This is when it was announced that he would be the first principal at the new Kickapoo High School. A very proud moment for him and an opportunity that he loved. Something that he would share with today's students. From notes of a meeting of incoming freshmen at Cherokee Junior High in 1975, he said, "Good things don't just happen. They are planned. Goals are established, and then there is work to accomplish these goals. The positive route requires a minimum number of positive goals. 1, be present every possible day. 2, be courteous to your teachers. 3, be prepared to participate in selected activities. And 4, be prepared to have many friends. And 5, be prepared to work." Something he would share with today's teachers, an excerpt from a meeting he held in 1972. "If you are inspired, you will be happy. You will achieve as a teacher. You will have an inner satisfaction and a peace of mind, and life will be more abundant." He believed that inspiring others started with self-inspiration. He enjoyed his teaching of history and English, but without a doubt, the pinnacle of his career was his advancement to principal at KHS. However, opening Kickapoo was not without its challenges. A labor strike and a windstorm delayed the finish date of Kickapoo, which resulted in students at both Kickapoo and Glendale sharing school days at Glendale, something unheard of at that time. He was devoted to his family. His wife of 60 years, Rosalie, was a counselor at Glendale. His son Scott is a retired dentist and retired Army colonel from Lebanon, and his son Randy is a medical sales recruiter and author from Rogersville. He would be most proud of his 3 grandchildren. Scott and his wife Cindy have 2 boys, Justin, who is a physician in Springfield, and Ryan, an optometrist in Moberly. Randy, with his wife Denise, have a daughter, Lindsay, who is an assistant attorney general with the state of Missouri. After his retirement from SBS, he ran for state representative in South Springfield and was elected to serve from 1980 to 1988. Additionally, he loved the family farm and spent much time in retirement enjoying it. He passed away in 2010 after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. He would have been so pleased by this recognition. Thank you so much for honoring me and my time at Kickapoo High School. Scott and Randy Wilkerson, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Our father would just, it would be, you would just believe everything that's happened with Kickapoo. It's such a beautiful facility. When you walk in, it doesn't really remind you of what it looked like initially in the beginning. But once you walk around the building a little bit, you get the feel of Kickapoo. There's a definite feeling about it, and he would be so proud of this moment. We're just thankful and impressed for this opportunity to visit with you about the early years. It's been mentioned before about Donna Freeman and what she has done to put this together, and it's unbelievable that from the beginning in 1971, she is such an integral part of Kickapoo High School. Unbelievable. Scott and I had forgotten how comprehensive that introduction was, so we had to go back in the archives and find that we wanted to find actual quotes from my father rather than trying to think that far back, which it was quite a while. But again, he'd be so thankful and impressed with the event and the honor. He wouldn't be surprised about where Kickapoo is, because Kickapoo was a great school, Kickapoo is a great school, and Kickapoo will continue to be a great school. It's all around us when you look at the building and what's been happening here. Needless to say, it was talked about in the preface there that he accepted the role, to be principal here at Kickapoo, and was really excited about it. If you were involved in Kickapoo High School, either as a teacher or support personnel, would you please raise your hand or stand up from the beginning, the first 10 years? All right. These are the people that started this great legacy. And my dad would be so happy, and he would want us, and I'm sure want us to recognize those folks for the early beginning and how the trajectory of the school went into the stellar mode it's gone into over the last years. Scott's going to talk a little bit about the start of Kickapoo, what it was like to be around the family when this was all going down.
First off, I'd like to thank my brother Randy, because he was the composer of this, about 80 to 90% of his biography about my dad. Now, he had some help from me on the dates long ago that he couldn't remember, and that was my main. But you'll also be happy to know that this is my entire speech right here. So how long can I possibly talk on that, right? Well, don't dare me, right? So anyway, I want to introduce first, though, my wife, Cindy. She's been married to me 42 years in a row. She's not here today yet. I'll go ahead and mention our sons, too. Justin is a physician here in Canton. He couldn't be here today because, as we speak, he is seeing patients at a local hospital. Ryan has 2 young children, and he lives all the way in Moberly, Missouri, so he was unable to be with us also today, but they both know about it, and they're blessings. First off, my dad would, 2 things. He would be happy to see this all going on. He would be astounded at the effort that everybody has made. And so I wanted to mention that to you because he would be thrilled today. The meeting at the central office, when we read through the biography here, is all true, but it may have been even a little bit more dramatic than that. He was really worried about what had happened, to the point where maybe he thought he was going to be fired. On the way over there, he thought, what student is really irritated? But what teacher is that mad at me? What family? What have I offended? What have I done? I couldn't think of anything. So when he walked into the meeting, they told him almost instantly why he was there, which of course relieved him a lot, and he accepted that opportunity and challenge in his life. So at the dinner table that night, I remember him telling what had happened, and I thought, that's great, fantastic, that's a big opportunity. But I also, in the back of my mind, was thinking how lucky I was. And here's why I was so lucky. Oftentimes they'll shuffle principal staff around, and I thought, what if they had taken the principal at Glendale and made him the principal at Kickapoo and moved my dad into Glendale as the principal during my senior year of high school? That didn't happen, so I thought I'm very lucky that didn't happen. I was happy he had the opportunity, but I was glad he didn't have the opportunity at Glendale. So that's it. Thank you very much.
As we've been called earlier, the Wilkerson brothers. The Wilkerson brothers got to be pretty proficient at flying right under the radar. With a dad that was a principal and a mom that was a counselor. You all knew Romalie and Curtis. We were, flying under the radar sometimes. We were both good kids. I was, yeah. Scott's birthday is today, by the way. He's 76. No, 67. I'm sorry. That's a typo there. As we mentioned earlier, this was a pinnacle career move for our dad. He was so excited, and he didn't even know. He had a great career with Springfield Schools, 10 years or more as a principal, but he didn't know what was before him in this. So it did have its challenges. We know about. I don't know if you remember about during the building at Kickapoo, the falling of some walls during the construction, and it was mentioned about labor strikes. So it was not without its challenges. But it was the pinnacle position. And it's been mentioned before, and I think that's interesting. He's visited every classroom every morning, and he looked upon the staff at Kickapoo as a family, the Kickapoo family. And he had annual picnics out at our farm at Rogersville every year where everybody got together and enjoyed the day. He retired in 1980 and with a 30-year career, and he continued to be a public servant and was elected as state rep in South Springfield. So, and many of the teachers that he worked with, students, other friends supported him in that endeavor, and it was really, really interesting when you looked at the reports that filed out. I helped him on the 1980 campaign, and you had early printouts even back then about, how things were rolling and looking for it in a campaign, and it's like, Dad, there's Republicans, Democrats here, but it looks like we're a little heavy on the Democrat side. So, now we don't see that. We see political divides, not the candidate and what the candidate can do. My point is both parties supported him. He was able to be state rep in South Springfield. Thank you guys for this honor. Appreciate it.
Schedule, what schedule? That was great. Last time the ceremony, the teachers, the first one lasted less than an hour, so that's what we're off. That's okay, it was great, wasn't it? And now one more quick thing before lunch. I'd like to introduce 1980 graduate and former principal Kelly Allison, who emceed our first ceremony in 2018. We have these nice plaques that you saw. We did not have those for the first group. We had some certificates, so Kelly is going to present the class then to those that are here today and representing our first class that was inducted in 2018.
Hello, everybody. It's such an honor to be back again to continue the celebration. It's only right to take the time to recognize all the efforts and all the tradition and the history of Kickapoo High School. So I was very fortunate to be the principal in 2018 and to be able to be part of that induction of a wonderful group of individuals. I mean, like it was said before, I mean, this is my era. I mean, the 70s and the 80s, you know, back in the 1900s for the young people, you know, there was, that foundation was built. It was built strong by the people that have already been represented here today. So, we've got plaques for those first inductees in 2018, so when we call your name off, would you please come forward and get your plaque? Delbert Debrock. So, you got it, all right. Here's my science teacher, my super year. Very fortunate to be part of this classroom and be able to present this to you. Congratulations. Charlie Sanders, Coach Sanders, I think Brock his son is here today to accept this. And I know that his daughter Tammy's here as well. I'm not sure AC Kelly, but I know Tammy's here as well. Coach Sanders gave me my first job, hauling hay. So he told me that if, you know, this would be the best thing you could ever do to put on your resume that you were a hay hauler. So, I think Coach Goodman was on that staff at one time. For that. The next one, we have Coach Rodenberry. John Rodenberry is my high school basketball coach. I know his wife here today. Sue Schubel, come on in. Sue Schubel really knows how to enjoy retirement. I don't know if anybody keeps track of her escapades, but if anybody does retirement right, it's Sue Schubel. Congratulations, Sue. Linda Maggard. Linda takes credit for I think my wife and I for getting together. I remember it a little bit differently, but I had her. I can't remember the courses I had for her in high school. Liberty Law. Probably the best one. Yeah. Congratulations, Anne.
No, I was impressed.
Warner Haskins. Was my track coach. Been around a long time. Just. You can't go anywhere with Kickapoo and not see Coach Haskins at an event. Very pleased to be able to be here again, present this to you, Coach.
Thank you.
Tony Mavis. Not here yet?
Thank you.
Congratulations, Tony. Tony was one of the first people that I really remember just making, I don't know how to say it, but he always had a smile on his face. And just made learning fun, made being around fun. I never had any class, which I don't know, a good thing or bad thing, I don't know. But just really made the environment when he came to Kickapoo. What was your first year here?
78, 79.
Okay, so I was like a junior, maybe a senior at that time, and but he just made a huge impact on Kickapoo. Donna Freeman. High school. Yes, absolutely. Putting this all together and making it go. How can anybody say no to Donna Freeman? Thank you, everybody.
All right, real quick, I just want to say we had no one was able to be here from the Ballou family today, but Connie Ballou was also in that class, and also Jose Flores. So okay, we're going to start the lunch, we're going to start with the head table. So what we'll do is we'll form the line over here on this side. We have your tickets. There'll be, I believe, one of the cabinet members is going to be there to take your tickets, and then we'll go through the line. We have Wing Leon, alumni from 1974. We have Monica Blaze Guest from Maria's, alumni from 1983. And then Freddie Flores from 1979 from La Habana Vieja. So, and then dessert at the end is provided by Simply Delicious, which is Patty Wingo, whose husband Jeff, class of 83. So we'll form over there and go this way through the line, and we'll gather back here for this, about 45 minutes for the second half of the ceremony. Thank you.
If I could ask everyone to please rise for the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare amongst bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now remain standing, and Mrs. Linda Matter will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let me just say that I worked awfully hard getting this put in at the beginning of the week on a Monday.
Hello, we're going to sing the alma mater, and I know many of you won't know it, but it was written by Mr. Loudis, and so if you would just follow along on the words on your table. Yeah. Hail Kickapoo, your colors brown and gold. Throughout the years your stories will be told. Blessed days with hope, a future you will give. Oh Kickapoo, you teach us how to live. Oh Kickapoo, your past is proud and strong. Year after year, true to thee we still belong. Guide now our future, lead us on our way. Oh Kickapoo, our memories ever stay. Go out and tell our story, let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Our justice was our battle, and our justice was denied. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black and white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Go out and tell our story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you when they hear you. I'll be near you again. Make them hear you when they hear you. I'll be near you again.
All right, that was fantastic. Thank you so much to the chamber choir. So, the second half of our program, 50th anniversary celebration. As I told you, I graduated in 1982. I don't know what qualifies me to be the person that's done this. It just 2010, I got on that Facebook thing and saw that I had no idea how it worked, and all these people from my past were starting to send me friend requests, and I said, wow, they remember me, how great. No idea how the thing worked, but I saw people wanted to go, or were talking about, excited to go to the Springfield Cardinal games, and I thought, why don't we see if we can get some people from our area there at the same night? And it blew up into Kickapoo High Alumni Night. We had 265 people from all over the generations, and a pregame, and a good thing we had a pregame party at Evans Field because the game got washed out at Cardinals. So we had a post party, and we had Pat and Allie and alumni bands played, and it was a to-do. In promoting that, I had gone to a retired faculty staff luncheon, and I asked if there was an alumni association or something that we could promote this event through, and my main man, Tony Loud, said, no, Pontius, why don't you start one? So we did, and we have about 3,300 members on our Facebook page now, and I just really wanted to get people together, honestly, frankly, to see what ladies were single. And my wife Beth was there that night, so that panned out. Interesting, she's class of 83, we didn't even know each other in high school. It was a big school, but we met that night, actually. Me, when I was here, I was finance commissioner, I'm cabinet, key club president. Speech of the day was my main gig. Jack Tuckins was my mentor. So, that's a little bit about me and how we got here. Thank yous galore we have. Starting with the planning committee. Would everyone who was on the planning committee please stand up? Oh, you're all there. Thank you so much. Thank you all very much. The decorating committee, is that you also? Okay. Door prizes were put together by Kim Harris, is that correct? Tammy and Teresa did that. Tammy, Holly, and Teresa Town. Thank you very much for taking care of that. Kim Harris and Student Council have done just, well, you've seen them. They've done so much to make this thing happen for us here today. And I don't think we could have done it on this scale without our help. So thank you so much, Kim, and the cabinet members for helping us out. Our ticket sales and ticket takers, senior class officers, Karen Davis is the current principal secretary. Where's Karen? She's still here? She had to leave. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dr. Powers, for allowing us to be here today and have the celebration, and for a wonderful job in the Hall of Fame ceremony. Thank you so much. The office staff that are here that have helped us with, I'm not a detail person, so all this detail stuff you see is them. I'm like, let's do this, and they fill it all in, so it's fantastic. Your tour guides for this afternoon, I know Kelly Allison is going to be a tour guide, Tony Loudis, and Sarah Freeman Odom, all who have intimate knowledge of the different renovations at the school, and will be able to take you and tell you what's all changed. Our sponsors, I believe you have, are they on the table, Donna? The sponsors?
They are.
Okay, you see the list of the sponsors, but I want to, just real quick, Kevin Callahan, attorney at law. We have Debbie Gilmore and her husband with the Resource Center. Linda Burton and Bill Holmes, the iWorks. Also Carol Price, and I'm forgetting, and the Barber family, in honor of their dad. Was the founder, I think it was of the ladies athletic.
Printing business, and he did a lot of the original Kickapoo signage.
Okay, that's what it was. I knew. Yes. So that's an honor of him. We have in-kind sponsors as well. Wonderful plaques were from our alumni Brian Tucker and from his company, which you see there. Thank you very much, Brian, for that. I'm leaving some out. But Carol Fritz, all the mums, decorations provided by Carol. Thank you so much. And
Bears.
yes, last night tailgate food was donated by Bears. Tim Bear, Mike Ganser, local alumni. So, thank you to the chamber choir for performing. The choir Booster Club, who did our tailgate last night. Bears, because they were short-staffed, couldn't send anybody over to cook it, so they stepped up and said, we'll just take it on some fundraiser. So perfect, worked out great. Our food vendors, we thanked earlier all alumni for a fantastic lunch coming through for us today. Brent Slane is live streaming this for people right here. Thank you, Brent. And Patty Cable taking pictures photography today. So those are the thank yous. Now I am privileged to introduce another man who started here my freshman year. We brought a lot of good people with us, the class of '82 when we showed up. Tony worked with my mom at the bank, at Mercantile Bank, before he started teaching. So are you Karen's son? I got that a lot. My mom and dad knew a lot of people. And if I knew my mom, I was usually in pretty good shape. If I knew my dad, I knew I was in trouble. So, anyway, just member of our Faculty Hall of Fame, and I just call him Mr. Kickapoo, the one and only Tony Loudis.
I've been called one thing, but never Mr. Kickapoo. This is the scariest job I've ever had. But I do want to prove to these principals sitting up here, who I'm privileged to have served with, that I still have part of my behind left. Each one of them took a bite out of it. In the 30 years I was here, so I guess I can apologize to all of them at once now. And then run. Okay. Thank you, Greg, for, again, you're getting a lot of thanks, and Donna's up here, we're getting ready to do some door prizes here too. But before we do that, we were very privileged last night to have the presence of the Governor of the state of Missouri with us at the football game to present a proclamation in behalf of our 50th year. And I'm going to ask Dr. Powers to come up and read the proclamation, if you would, please.
It helps to have one of the governor's daughters on staff. She called in a favor, so please bear with me as I read a lot of whereas. Whereas this year, 2021, marks the 50th anniversary of Kickapoo High School in Springfield, Missouri. And whereas, opened in 1971, the name of Kickapoo High School is drawn from the history and tradition of the land on which the school is located, known as the Kickapoo Prairie. The school colors of dark brown and sunburst gold represent the tones of the earth and sun that are tied to the past as essential elements of the farming tribe for which the school is named. And whereas, since 1971, Kickapoo High School has continued to provide an environment of excellence in education and tradition for the students who enter the doors of their beloved high school. And whereas, the mission of Kickapoo High School is to facilitate a high level of learning and performance for each student in a global society, as evidenced by its graduates' impact on every facet of community life on local, state, national, and world levels, including as leaders in higher education, military service, medical innovation, global business, arts and entertainment, philanthropy, civic and civil servant leadership, and collegiate and professional sports. And whereas, the Kickapoo High School staff is exemplary in its commitment to do what is necessary to promote and recognize excellence in learning and leadership, focus and commitment to the success of all students, and model ideals of integrity, ethical behavior, encouragement, and compassion. And whereas, the excellence of Kickapoo High School is nationally recognized. It is the only Springfield public school to earn the distinction of National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence by the United States Department of Education, and has achieved this honor twice, in 1983 and 1998. Kickapoo High School has also been recognized as a Missouri Gold Star School, a 5-star leadership school, and as a Best of the Ozarks public school. And whereas, Kickapoo High School has an outstanding and honored history, students, staff, teachers, and parents honor its past and expect to achieve at the highest levels. The proud traditions of Kickapoo High School continue to set the standard for future generations. Now, therefore, I, Michael L. Parson, Governor of the State of Missouri, do hereby recognize the 50th anniversary of Kickapoo High School and acknowledge its success in academics, activities, and athletics, which have developed into a proud tradition since 1971. Go Kickapoo Chiefs!
Do we want to do some door prizes first? Okay, let's do that. And since he did such a good job reading, why don't you pick a couple numbers? Mine's on top. Okay, there's a couple of them. You got your tickets out? We'll go really quick on this. 358, that's everybody, I think. 013, 358-013. Okay, all right, we got a winner over there. And 358-190. Who'll be that? 190? Over there. Oh, there we go, back there. I can't see that far, I'll tell you who it was. Well, congratulations. Well, you got some neat stuff over there. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of go down the line and hear from the principals. And hopefully they have saved up all their energy to tell you all about their reign as principal. Is that a reign, principal? Their time here. We appreciate it. First up is Dr. Bud Creevy.
Thank you, Tony. I think you underestimated it. I think I took a couple of chunks out.
Oh, yeah.
Donna told me she'd like me to mention a little bit about the opening of the school since I was here at the beginning. But man, everybody here, our colleagues, are contemporaries of mine, and they've all told you a lot about the opening of the school. However, I will always do what Donna says. That was the first lesson I learned, 1971. Had the privilege of being one of the first 3 counselors on the inaugural staff at Kickapoo. And in addition, I was student council sponsor. Now, you've heard about both of those here. And the student council sponsor was one of the greatest enjoyments or joys of my life, because I worked with outstanding students, and we just set all kinds of traditions in those first few years. And I was proud of almost all of them. They were really good. It wasn't the building that made it. As you've heard, we weren't even in a building that first year, as the first 6 weeks anyway. We were over at Glendale, as you heard, and now repeat. We shared it with Glendale on a split shift. So we were kind of hybrid over there for a while. But here we sat with a building unoccupied in the middle of cornfields, right? A lot of rural settings, and it was a wonderful setting for a new high school. In no small measure, the successful start to KHS was a result of the strong, effective leader in the person of Curtis Wilkerson. He put together an outstanding faculty, staff, and administrative leaders to chart the beginning of KHS. He was a strong leader with a very dry sense of humor, right? So one day I get a call at home one evening, and he said, "Bud, yeah, Mr. Wilkerson, what can I do for you?" He said, "Would you pray for me?" Well, when someone usually asks me to pray for them, I think they have an issue they would like me to take to the Lord. And I said, "Well, okay, what would you like me to pray about?" "Oh, no, not pray for me, pray instead of me. I've been asked to pray at the PTA City Council, and I can't be there. Would you do that?" Of course I would. I would do that for you. And you know, there's a lot of prayer that goes on in schools. Almost every student starts the day by saying, "Lord, please don't let her follow me today." Or him. But anyway, that's where we were. And almost from the beginning of that year, you could sense there was something special in this place. Not here, but at Kickapoo. We had outstanding students, we had outstanding staff, we had outstanding leaders, we had outstanding support groups, and everybody wanted this to be the best school it could be, and that was contagious. And that set the tone for the beginning. It was a unique quality or spirit that existed, and it grew over the years. Well, after serving 5 years, I went to another high school in town for a few years. And when Curtis retired, I had the fortune of coming back as the second principal of Kickapoo. And what I was thrilled to discover was that KHS spirit and pride, as in fact, was alive and stronger than ever. It appeared obvious to me that my main role while working with faculty and staff and students and parents was to encourage, support, and stay out of their way, because they knew what they were doing, and it made a difference. An example of that, staying out of the way, was a PTA president, I think it was Patty Bennett, came to me and said, "Dr. Greavy," or I think it was Bud Greavy, "why don't we have a computer in this school?" Well, computers weren't very common at that point. And she said, "I think we should have a new Apple computer for kids to work and learn from. Don't you?" I said, "Sure." "Okay, would you co-sign the loan for this? I'll sign it and you sign it and we'll go buy one." And that's how we did things at Kickapoo. And then I went home and said, "Betty, I co-signed a loan today for a computer, Kickapoo High School." And that's how it worked. but that was parental involvement, buying into the school, and working hard to make it as good as it can possibly be. And of course, you've heard mentioned already, one of the outstanding issues in a couple of years was the fact that during the 82-83 school year, Secretary of Education, Terrell Bell, under Ronald Reagan, President, began the process to identify secondary schools of excellence across the nation. That hadn't been done before. And based on the obvious pride we had in our school, it didn't take long for there to be a consensus that we may as well apply. And we had great writers. They made us sound really good. And we submitted it. And then we got a letter in the summer saying, you're a finalist. So then we had a visit. And then Dr. Garibaldi from Xavier University in New Orleans came, and his job was to be an in-service examiner to see if the words we used in our application were really true and honest. And he spent a couple days interviewing parents and teachers and students and activity sponsors, all kinds of different parts of the school to see how we put together that report and whether it was as accurate as it could be. Well, in April of that year, we were notified that we were in this group, and then it wasn't until summer of that same year, and that we were notified that indeed we had been selected as one of the 152 schools across the nation in the first award of significant accomplishments of secondary schools. And that meant a trip out to Washington, receiving the award, welcoming back here. Students were at the airport to shake my hand and welcome me back, and I represented Kickapoo out in Washington, D.C. at that time. And on October 13th of that year, we had an assembly, which I will never forget. We had parents, we had all the students, we had all the faculty and staff, and we celebrated Kickapoo excellence. And it's been an ongoing process ever since, and I'm proud of it. I have had both of our children go through Kickapoo, and our five grandchildren are either in or have gone through Kickapoo, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Thank you.